you remember your very first mission that you flew? Was it, for like guys going into ground combat, you kind of remember the first time you rolled outside the wire. Was your first mission, was it monumental in your brain, or was it just like, oh, another day?
It was just like going out to the range and bombing, really. It was kind of more like that.
Well, it seems like
we got shot at. I'd say most all the missions we got shot at. And we'd come home and have some bullet holes from ground fire, mostly. I never got hit by any real AAA, I don't think, up there. Didn't have any big holes blown in my airplane, but it was common to have, ground fire rifles.
Did you feel like the threat when you were flying up there? What was the threat level that you felt? I know in the book you end up mentioning you had, I think, 3 of your friends had been shot down. Like, how often is that happening where guys are getting shot down and you're rolling up there? What is it? What's your impression? Or did you have the typical young man's impression, which, hey, it's too bad it happened to someone else, but it sure is not going to happen to me. I'm too good.
Well, it was kind of that, but it was sad too. I'd lost 2 roommates before I was shot down, and then another one after I was shot down. But there were a lot of people shot down. The summer and going into the fall of 1967, it was a huge number of people shot down because our combat missions increased significantly, and their anti-aircraft artillery, surface-to-air missiles increased significantly during that time. So it was pretty common for airplanes to be going down.
Did you feel like the skill level that it takes to drop bombs back in your day? I mean, nowadays it's a computer that's doing it, right? Yeah. The computer's doing all the work, and you're just inputting the numbers, and it's going to put that bomb wherever you tell that bomb to go. Did you feel like you were getting better? Were some guys better than other guys? In the SEAL teams, which I was in, you got this guy over here, he's really good long range shot with his rifle. He's going to be super accurate. This other guy, maybe he's not so great. Did you guys have that kind of pecking order in terms of, hey, Lee's getting sent out to get this bridge because we know he's good, or hey, don't send Lee out to get that bridge. Maybe he's not the best of our guys. Did you guys have that kind of pecking order?
Yes and no. The flight commanders were generally established fighter pilots at that time. And so they were usually the best in the squadron. So they were setting an example. And but at this time, because of the war, in 1967, by the summer of 67, all the fighter pilots have gone over and done their year, 100 missions, and come home. Not all, but many. The first big chunk of them, okay? And they don't want to send them right back. So they brought in guys from B-52s, from C-130s to become F-4 front seaters, okay, and fighter pilots. Well, us backseaters who had just been flying the T-38, we knew that one of our jobs was to keep them safe and help them be fighter pilots. Seriously. I mean, they were good pilots, but they just hadn't been flying fighter airplanes, and they were a little bit more cautious and slower thinking, I think, sometimes. And so we were almost coaching. There were times I was coaching the guy in the front seat. Now, don't roll in yet. We're not close enough to roll in yet. So, it's hard to say, but most of the time when I flew with the more senior guys and who were the experienced fighter pilots, they were really good.
Mm-hmm. And what about so you deploy in 1967, you're over there. The political thing in America of, the war protests, they weren't really strong in 1967.
No, it wasn't going strong yet. It was just starting to roll in certain parts of the country. I think the thing for me, I realized very quickly, and most of the pilots realized very quickly, that we were not fighting this war in the right way.
And you saw that even from your time. You're a first lieutenant. You've been in the Navy you've been in the Air Force for a short period of time, and you're already seeing, as a first lieutenant on your first deployment, this maybe doesn't make the most sense.
Yes, I did see that. I said, why don't you let me figure out how to pick the targets? I mean, I did. I wanted
because
to
the targets
say,
are getting picked by like Washington D.C. and stuff, right?
Yes, exactly. And I'd say, well, here's how we need to do this. We need to go up there and bomb out the roads. Just bomb them out in certain specific places intentionally about an hour before dark. And then as quick as it gets dark, the trucks will back up and we'll go in and strafe them all and wipe them out. Well, took me about a month to figure that out. And sometimes we did that and sometimes we didn't, but it wasn't part of the plan. Mm-hmm. There was no plan to do. You had to fly sorties to some degree to when Saigon said fly them. And to a large degree up around Hanoi, you could only fly them when they told you to. And, of course, the enemy knew exactly when we were coming. So it was just ridiculous that so many decisions about what to bomb and when to bomb it was made in Washington, D.C. by civilians who knew nothing about warfare.
And even you, as a first lieutenant, you're what, 23 years old, 24 years old?
I was 23 when I got there.
23 years old, you're just driving around a muscle car in America as a knuckle dragger, and even you figured out, hey, you can't micromanage this thing from Washington, D.C.
Yes. And it was kind of down. It was kind of a downer for me. Mm-hmm. It's like, why can't somebody stand up and fix this,